Well, happy Saturday, folks. The real Captain Kirk here. We're live from One Bethlehem Plaza here in downtown Bethlehem, Pennsylvania. Here we had an absolutely gorgeous 4th of July Friday here yesterday. It was the coolest in 3 years here in Bethlehem. 10th coolest in 40 years, so below average. 56 in the morning and 82 in the afternoon, and pretty much wall-to-wall sunshine. So a great day, great fireworks here just south of the office here in downtown Bethlehem. Not so on 3 July Thursday, man. Talk about severe weather. We had a derecho-like event. We had some downburst. Again, some areas had 2-3 inches of rain in about an hour, and wind gust over 60 miles an hour. So Thursday was a train wreck here in Lehigh Valley. Looking at Weather Trends 360 camera east, capturing some of the severe weather and winds. Speaking of severe weather, as of the 4th of July, tornadoes are still the most in 14. Hail's down a bit, still a little bit below average, and wind also the most in 14 years. We're one of those wind cases of the 11,651 here on Thursday, again, with those severe thunderstorms that move through. Look at the next 4 days here, again, pretty much the plains for the severe weather threat, and again, diminishing threats as we go into the early part of next week. Kind of misleading here. Hurricane Center's got Tropical Storm Chantal here. It's going to make landfall probably around 3 o'clock in the morning here, well north of Charleston, probably well south of Myrtle Beach, somewhere in the middle. Little suspect here, again, to name 3 storms. Andrea lasted for about 12 hours out in the middle of Atlantic on 24 June, and Barry lasted for less than a day, barely, heading into Tampico, Mexico area. So again, suspect with these storms that only last for a few hours. Again, we wouldn't, in the past, many, many years ago, probably these would never have been named. Looking at the year-to-date hot 90 Fahrenheit days, again, as of the 4th of July here. U.S., again, a lot of hot days, but again, we're still down 6% versus last year, 6th most in 40 years. Northeast obviously made up a ton of ground here with that major heat wave here last week, late last week. Northeast still down 19% versus last year, but 7th most in 40 years in terms of hot days. Looking at the next 2-week forecast here, again, the U.S., again, this is just a 2-week window here, about down 7% nationally and down 46% in the Northeast. So not as extreme. Maybe a little hotter here toward the tail end of this period here in the Northeast. Look at the July 4th weekend. Again, part of this is history and 1 day of forecast here. But looks like overall for the nation as a whole, it's about 2.6 cooler than last year. Coolest in 10 years, 20th warmest in 40 years, so about average. Pretty much cool on the coast in Texas. Unfortunately, they had major flooding and lots of loss of life down there in Texas with some of that flooding. Hot 90-degree days down about 9%, least in 6 years, and precip down about 18%. Driest in 4, again, below average there. So not bad. Again, dry, we'll take it again across most of the country here. Looking at a last week world summary now, this is 29 June through the 5th of July. Here in the U.S., about 0.8 cooler than last year, still 8th warmest in 40 years. Hot 90-degree days were down about 2%, so flat, about 9th most in 40 years, and 6% drier. So again, in the middle of the pack, near average. Hot spots were there in the UK, warmest in 7 years, really hot there in China, number 1 warmest, Europe, number 1 warmest. Very unusual, coolest in 31 years in India. So a little unusual, to say the least. Look at this week here, call this the start of the dog days of summer, July and August. About 1.8 cooler than last year, 9th warmest in 40 years, so above average national temperatures, but still cooler than last year. Hot 90-degree day down about 16%, still 8th most, and precip up now, 12% wetter, wettest in 4, 11th wettest in 40 years. See some of that heavy rain there with Chantal in the Carolinas. Again, some 3, 4, 5 inches of rain possible as the storm pretty much diminishes rather rapidly. It's relatively weak, to say the least. Looking at next week here, getting into mid-July, week ending the 19th, a warmer trend, 0.2 warmer than last year. I haven't said that very much over the last couple months here, but again, a warmer week, warmest in 19 years, 3rd warmest in 40 years. So a warming trend, almost wall-to-wall across the country. 90-degree days, again, are off the scale here, up 12% versus last year, and that makes it the number 1 most in 40 years. If we look at precip again, about 11% wetter, 12th wettest in 40 years. See good news here again over the next week or two. Again, lots of rain across the Corn Belt. From the heart of the Corn Belt would be Iowa, Illinois, Indiana, and Ohio. And again, getting ample rain with their crops in the ground. So we expect probably some record-breaking crop yields on top of last year's record-breaking crop yields. If we aggregate these world 2-week trends here now, this is 6 through 9 July. High temps versus average on this big map here. Again, wall-to-wall warm across the U.S. and Canada. Again, trends mapped inset left versus last year is generally a little bit cooler, specifically in the Pacific Northwest. East Coast, again, a hair cooler if you look at that small inset map left. And Europe, again, still rather warm across most of Europe, especially France. Looking at world 2-week precip trends here, 6 through 19 July. Again, ample rainfall, again, across the U.S. Corn Belt growing regions. So again, really pretty much above average across the Midwest, Great Lakes, East Coast. Some of that's tropical induced with Chantal. And a little bit dry there in parts of Central Europe. So with that, folks, have a great week ahead. Hope you're having a great 4th of July Independence Day weekend. And we will be back here again this time next week, Saturday.